What's up, guys? Casual Bill here. But yeah, we're gonna rank my favourite DC toy lines. I'm gonna show you some figures. Hopefully we can have this discussion if you guys want to drop in the comments or who really made the best DC action figures to you. Not to me. I mean, it will be my personal preferences as I go through the video, but you can tell me yours as well. This video is not going to be one of those videos where I talk about DC figures, you know, and then I bash Marvel Legends and slag Marvel Legends off. That's not going to happen. I love a lot of Hasbro product just as much as I love DC product. You know, I am a fan of both, and I always will be. And I don't understand this mentality people have at the minute where it's like, you have to draw your battle lines. You can't be both a DC fan and a Marvel fan. You can't be a fan of McFarlane's products and also be a fan of Hasbro products. And, you know, just floating through people's comment sections, getting a good look at the community. And it is very toxic at the minute. There's no law, right, that says if you're a McFarlane fan, you can't like Hasbro. Like, there's no law. You're allowed to like whatever toys you like, and that's no one else's business but your own. You don't have to pick a side. People really just need to get over themselves and remember that this is just a hobby. We all love toys. That's why we're here. That's probably why you clicked on this video. And then just be here for the love of figures, man. That's all we really care about. Stuff. I just want to talk about toys because it's something I enjoy, and hopefully you'll enjoy it too. Like, my preferences mainly come from this sort of era of DC comics. So when I think of DC, it's this sort of era, this sort of art, these sort of characters. When I'm ranking my DC action figures, you know, this kind of design is gonna very, very heavily influence my choices. And this, by the way, was it was a poster that I found in a charity shop, and it was like 50p, and I just put it in a frame. I freaking love this piece. Nothing special about it, just some nice art. There won't be any import figures on this list, by the way. I just want to give you a heads up. I collect on a budget. I am not by any means a rich man. The idea of spending £80 on one action figure, even if I think the action figure is really, really cool, but with how expensive, right, that some of these import figures are, I can't do that. Some of those prices are just crazy, dude. I think the closest thing I have to an import figure in my collection is this Eggertax animated Batman, which I love, by the way. This is freaking so cool. So shout out, I guess, to all those lines that are like Eggertax and import figures, stuff like that you're just not going to see on the list. It's not that they're bad figures. Like, I'd love that Mayfex, Hush, Batman and Superman, but I just can't afford them, so they won't be on my list. Let's jump right into it. So, at number 5. Now, I am technically cheating a little bit to start off with, because there's a collection of figures here from different lines, but it all came from DC Direct. So, like, you've got DC Essentials with a blue Batman in the back there. Still highly rate that figure, think it's amazing. So, like, your DC Designer Series, your DC Essentials, your DC Bombshells. Like, you're seriously going to tell me these are bad figures? Yeah, just objectively and purely as a fan of, like, toys and action figures, you can't tell me that these action figures don't look amazing. Like, they do. I'm really happy to have them. I've had very few breaks with these types of figures. I mean, you know, some of them lack articulation, but what they, you know, lack in articulation, they more than make up for with their detail. You can tell me that Aquaman doesn't look really impressive. Like, if that's the only Aquaman figure that you've got, it's not a bad one to have. It's just like, it's a really good representation of the character, and that's what I liked about all of the lines, basically, from DC Direct. Being where we are now, in 2023, and I look back over the years, I have nothing but love for DC Direct and all of their toy lines. And DC Collectibles, which was the other name of DC Direct, for what it's worth, they made the Batman animated series figures as well. So this line was amazing. It was amazing that they produced the amount of figures that they did. It was enough for me just to get Batman and Robin, because when I was a kid and this show was out, you got like, and I love these figures, but they were crap in a good way, but they were crap. You got like, I can't remember any of the actual name of the toys now that I'm on camera, which is always the way, but there were all these just bizarre versions of Batman in these really bright different costumes and stuff, and it was very hard to get figures from that TV show that just looked like this, and I bought some more and ended up selling them, but keeping the Batman and Robin, because just as a toy collector and as a Batman fan, like, it is just so amazing to have these figures. I mean, they're hard now to sort of find and get hold of. So next we're going to talk about the Mattel post DCUC time, because these figures, right, they're often overlooked. I think some of the builder figures from this time were amazing. I feel like Mattel really did their best to like amp up the quality of their figures and give fans what they wanted. This armoured Batman is still to this day, maybe not better than the Mafex, but if you want an armoured Batman from The Dark Knight Returns, this is the best one for you to probably going right now, and it just looks great on a shelf. Has fair articulation, it really pops, looks like it come out the comic. The Gotham by Gaslight Batman is absolutely insane. And behind it, it's very sentimental to me, but the Batman Forever figure and they're underrated figures. Still to this day, they are some of the only DC figures domestically, maybe not imports, that you can actually get in a natural crouching, kneeling position. And they have great character choice from like New 52 and Rebirth and stuff, kind of at the time modern stuff, but then they did go back and do like the Super Friends stuff and some more classic stuff. So I do feel like in that time they tried to make fans happy. I feel like they definitely achieved that. For me, I was happy with the figures that I was able to get. Just a really, really good set of figures looking back. So this is where I realised that my opinions are going to differ from other people's. So at number 3, we've got the DC Multiverse line from McFarlane. I love this line. I've been on since the beginning. I bought the entire first wave. 3 or 4 of the figures were really, really strong, and I really enjoyed them. Like the Hellbat and the Unchained Armour was something I never thought people would get round to making, so I was really happy with that. And there are things that I think and I hope like Todd will improve on in time. I think the material that they use for the crotch sort of diaper area is quite stiff on some of the figures, so it does hinder the articulation. But apart from that, I think Todd McFarlane and McFarlane Toys, the whole team, they're doing a great job with the DC line. I'm a happy customer. I'm happy to keep riding that train. And I think really, for me, where he excels is his movie figures. They're just always sculpted phenomenally, and they look really good. Like, seriously, if you saw this in a shop and it had no branding on it, like it wasn't a Superman, but it was the same design and maybe different colours, but you're going to tell me you wouldn't buy this? Fuck off. Just like to remind you as well, something like this, any other company would have put out as a builder figure. So seriously, all of the crazy responses and shit that I get off some of you, for saying I hate McFarlane Toys, I very clearly don't. I'm a huge fan of their product. Kiss a moose. Like I would say, I'm a huge fan of the company. I just want their figures to get better. I think that's fair. So before we move on to number 2, I just quickly want to give an honourable mention to the 6-inch action figure line that probably spawned the toys that I'm about to talk about, and maybe 6-inch DC figures in general. Be that 6-inch Batman line that a lot of these figures belong to. Now this one is a very early DC superheroes one, but it's pretty much based off the same mould as the grapple hook Batman here, and they're both just absolute stand-up action figures. They still represent Batman as a character really well today, and they don't have the best articulation, but man, do they just look so fucking classic. The scuba diver Batman one on the end is just dumb fun, right? And, you know, some of these I was playing with these as a kid. It's crazy to think where we are now and how far action figures have come. I don't even think I told people at school that I still played with these figures around the time. This one was like some kind of science, tech, something, and this one was like, I know this one was like martial arts Batman, and he come with like martial art weapons because he's got the wraps and stuff on his hands in the weird gi. Really cool action figures, and they definitely deserve a mention as well.
So at number 2, guys, it's got to be the DC Icons line from DC Collectibles. The whole line is an absolute grail for me, and I don't have every figure. Like, I'm still hunting this line to this day, but the figures I have always really impressed me. I thought for the time these was coming out, they were really good contenders for like your Figure Arts and your Mayfix stuff, because you got a lot of different accessories with them. They were painted really nicely. I think some of them came with extra heads like the Aquaman. It's just absolutely one of my favourite toy lines that they ever did. And a lot of fans at the time was upset because the scale was just off 6-inch, so it wasn't completely perfect, and I think people wanted them to scale like with their other action figures, and they just didn't. But if you take that away, they're absolutely phenomenal figures. I don't think they got enough love. Absolutely just incredible. Alright guys, so at number 1 has to be the Classics line and every subsequent line that came from that era of Mattel making DC figures. These figures just carry all of the charm that the comic books have for me. I have fond memories of looking for these figures and finding them, and I just think, you know, people say that the figures are dated now, that, you know, the mould is quite old and they overused it, but the Four Horsemen, to this day, are some of my favourite sculptors. I really, really love these figures. And, you know, while I think some of the other lines are great, like DC Collectibles and McFarlane Toys, none of those other lines have sparked the same kind of joy in me that the DC Universe Classics did. And, you know, I'm a huge fan of comic book movies and games and all those forms of media, but it's the comic books that's where my heart is. And I've always just thought that even over Hasbro, the DC Universe Classics line looks like you picked up a DC comic and shook it really hard, and the characters fell out of the comic book and onto your desk. And I haven't seen another company replicate that like Mattel did with the DC Universe Classics. And, you know, so I feel like I have to be honest. If someone said to me, you have to get rid of all of your DC figures and just keep one toy line though it'd be really hard for me to decide, in the end, ultimately, it would be a DC Universe Classics line. It was such a deep line. They did so many good characters. The figures all fit so well together in scale. You know, and you could get some really nice poses out of them.
But I basically wanted to jump in here and say that in all my time of collecting DC figures, it's this Batman that I always go back to, that I'm always picking up and playing with. And they just have this class and star power to them.
Now, I'm not saying that Todd McFarlane should just copy this line and produce these same figures over again, but as a consumer and as a fan of DC in general, I would like to think that not just Todd McFarlane, but any current toy companies that make DC figures, I'd like them to at least look at these figures and be influenced by them.
This Batman is my absolute favourite figure. If I had to only have one Batman, I'd probably pick this one. It's really hard for me to explain. I love McFarlane Toys, and you know, I really like other companies that have tackled DC. Mattel's DC Universe Classics were just, to me anyway, and I know it's not going to be a popular opinion, but they're just my favourite. They have a special place in my heart. They're the collection that I most treasure, and that I enjoy the most, ultimately.
And that's the video, guys. That is my ranking of my top 5 DC action figure lines. If you're interested, you can drop your favourite top 5 lines in the comments below. I'd be interested to see that and get your opinions, and it would also mean a lot to me if you could like this video, because I feel like it was an epic task to make, to be fair. I hope you enjoyed the video, guys. Do the usual YouTube stuff, and I know I don't upload consistently, but I always try to bring you charming, informative and entertaining content. You know, I'll catch you next time.